here at the CC Club. Today we're going to have a little sesh featuring a routine that I have been working on 20 plus years. So why don't we get our cards out, get our cards in hand. We'll take it away now. And if you're here live in the session, feel free to ask questions in the chat, and stick around after the core training and we'll take more questions.
Right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the best color changing deck. All right, just cut your video.
Hey, everybody. It's great to see you. I recently went out to the Magic Castle where I had to do some magic, and I was thinking after, it was kind of a retrospective of my life trying to figure out why I like card tricks so damn much. I was really had occasion to think about it, and I figured out a little bit of the reason. And I think part of it is that cards are like people. They each have their own separate personalities. They each have their own different styles, things that make them tick. For example, hearts are the lovers. Diamonds are in for the money. 3s, 5s, and 7s are extremely odd cards. Jacks, queens, and kings, they're the royalty, and the royalty is always really high. Ooh, I see we have some royalty here in the audience tonight. Steve, if you would, go ahead. If you would say stop anytime. You can stop there. Stop there.
Stop.
We'll stop there on the king. Very nice. Let's try again, this time with, well, someone else. Rolando. Oh, Joker. Here, say stop, Rolando.
There.
There?
Yep.
We'll see the card that you stopped next to. That seems to be the 8 of hearts. Now, say what you will about the 8 of hearts. Say what you will about the king. They're each part of a group. There's 4 kings. There's 4 8s. There's only one card in the deck that there's only one of. Who knows what card that is?
The Joker.
That's right. The Joker is a bit like the magician in the deck. There's only one of him. His job is to stand out from the crowd, which is really cool because that means...
Yo.
Nice.
Different. So the Joker is like the magician because when he comes in contact with the other cards, he has the ability.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
All right. Here's the thing. He's a bit of a chameleon. He's designed to be able to fit in with the rest of the cards. Can do his job
Nice.
of transforming.
All right.
Nice, Aaron.
Now, the only problem with this, Rolando, and I'm glad you mentioned it, is that now we're stuck having a Joker that's different from all the other cards. And if you think about it, that's a bit of a drag. So it's very convenient at this point. Ah!
Aha.
I should put it away, should I? If only I had to put it away.
Right through the box, no less, huh?
What did you say? I made a mistake. There you go.
Awesome.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been messing around with the damn wand.
You got a lot of ones on that one, buddy. I think they liked your phases.
No, I think the wand was great. Right through the box. Besides, we ought to do more wand work.
We really should. And, well, we got more to talk about for that later. So here's the thing. Grab your deck. This is based on a principle, a color change that I put in the paper engine many years ago, around 1998. That was written. And been working with it ever since. Put out a DVD on it, directed by Wayne Houchin a long, long time ago. And recently figured out, when we were getting ready to go to the Magic Castle and do this thing, how to build it into Vernon's color-changing deck routine. So for the first time, I've got Helter Skelter, which is the name of that basic color-changing deck effect where the card turns red, the deck turns blue, right? Where I go back and forth in one shot. And sort of melded it into this complete routine where you get a full color-changing deck experience, right? So been doing it over 20 years before this came about, and this is the way I'm going to be doing it from now on. You get everything you get from the Vernon routine, all the good shows, all that good stuff. So what you need, and it does end clean. So we'll talk about it and how to do it. So in this case, I have a blue deck. And I'm going to show you the way I have it set up to go here. There's a couple different options you have as you're working on it. In this format, I'm actually using a red-blue double backer. That goes on top. Oh, underneath that, I'm taking the blue joker that matches the deck. That's for the optional change of the joker at the end. Okay? Version we just did. Then you've got the two jokers from the deck. So I got the blue one that matches the deck proper, and then the red one on top. So that's it. You got a red joker, a blue joker, a red-blue double backer. I've got the blue joker for the ending where the joker changes back, right? And you end clean, and the rest of the blue deck. And that's it. That goes inside your red case. And what's nice about this most recent handling, that's unlike anything I've ever released before, is you can now do this as an opener or a closer. So for many, many years, I did this by performing for hours if possible with one deck and switching the deck and immediately going into the color changing routine. This allows you to use the Vernon scheme and therefore do it as an opener. So when I say the Vernon scheme, what do I mean? I mean this idea of being able to say, look, you can select any card. You can stop on the 10. What you want to avoid here is doing this sort of thing. Hindu. You know, you just sort of Hindu apropos of nothing. This starts to look really bad. Okay? Let me do that setup again real quick for Dustin. We have a red joker. We have a blue joker. You could use any other card if you wanted, but I sort of like the purity of being able to get rid of the joker at the end and sort of having the rest of the deck, which I'll show you how to do as well. A red-blue double backer, red side up. One more blue joker. That's if I want to end with a clean blue joker in the deck. And the rest of the blue deck. Waiting for an all clear from internet land.
All clear.
Okay. So you start, you can make sure everyone sees that in your presentation. Turn the deck over and start to do a Hindu shuffle. And you say, look, you can stop me on this one. If you like the 7 of hearts. Some people say cards are like wands. The card chooses the wizard. You can stop on the 3 of hearts. But the point is to make each one of these a statement, right? So when you do it, you say, or the 9 of clubs. You're really there to gesture and draw attention to it. And the showing itself is incidental, okay? Let the audience say stop anytime. And eventually they do, okay? That's it so far. Now, you throw these cards on top with a break, or you can just slap them down like that. And the easiest thing to do here is just to let a card fall off your thumb, okay? Sometimes I'm feeling a little fancy, and I like to stick that packet right there between my second finger and my thumb at the corner, which makes the cards jog a little, like that. And then as I square them up, I just press my pinky and my third finger up there against that bottom card, and as I square the deck here, I push the deck square, that leaves that card sticking out. You might experiment with that as an easier way to get this done. Then all you have to do is take your fingers and grab up and then undercut. And that brings your joker to the top without letting anyone see that that's happened there, okay? So you turn that card over. It looks like you just cut to a joker. Now you can riffle down and let the person say stop anywhere. This is another conceit of Vernon. Vernon uses just one card to get a lot of showing of seemingly different red cards, right? So this is another application of that. And what you do here is you take the card. I believe in the Vernon routine, letting the people choose between the card above it and below it is part of it. I've sort of decided it's just time I don't want to spend on it, right? I want to place this card down. Now I like to get this break here now by pressing with my first finger up against the corner, letting that flare away and getting a break. You shouldn't let that stress you if you don't want to do that. You can simply bring the cards back, take the deck from above, pushing that card over, and just let one card fall off and get a thumb break above it. Pretty simple. And pull that out. Now, as I'm saying, there's only one card in the entire deck that doesn't come in a group. We're sort of looking at the Joker for the first time now. What I like to do here is I like to place the deck on top. So that's square, there's a double below the break. And I like to move the entire deck forward an inch and drop it. So that's what's happening. Now I openly and cleanly turn the deck over. But I've already got my preparation for what will be a double that I don't really want anyone to have any suspicion of, right? So I pick up that double card. I pretend with my thumb to be pushing it over as I move that double off. And I clamp it to the deck, and I retake it at the upper right corner with my second finger underneath, my first finger underneath, widely separated so they're touching the edges and the surfaces, and the thumb in the center. Now that's the same card you just saw. Of course, it's a duplicate. I riffle down like this, and if you do it like this, there's no danger of flashing any blue cards. And you stick it out like so. Now look at this grip here. This is actually a really easy color change. It's one of my favorite color changes. It's called the Revolution color change. I think I put it in print around the year 2000. The thumb and the second finger hold the front of the deck and the card at the same time. Can everyone see that? They're holding both the card and the deck. My first finger is pressed up very lightly. That's just keeping those cards together in case they want to split apart. You have, you know, standard US PCC cards. They will sometimes split apart. I used to make a joke in the lecture that sometimes, you know, the cards say butter, you know, parquet, you know. So what you do is you just press up a little bit and you keep them together like that. And now you're ready to go. So here's what's nice about the color change. Is based on the Andrus color change. It's really very easy to do. Let me just demonstrate the color change you're about to see. This card changes into a blue card and ends pretty damn clean. Now, even though this was the basic application of the color change, I never actually had this in the routine. This is the first version of the routine that actually makes space for that exact change alone to happen in it, okay? So here's what's happening. I place my hand, try not to have to stretch your hand out too much. Try and keep it as loose as you can. Makes the thing look more magical. You place the hand over the double card so that the edge of the card does not show through your fingers. So when you're looking at it from behind, like you might be doing right now, you're going to think, oh, that looks great, but that might be what it looks like from the front. So you want to move it forward so it looks like it's too far forward so that the edge is below the gaps in your fingers, okay? Now what you do is you press up with your first finger, you press down against it with your hand, and you move outward until you feel that upper card clear the deck. You press up with your first finger, and you press down just a little bit with your right hand, and that means the back edge raises up so it goes over top of the left fingers. As you slide back, that card has no friction because the card is just resting on top of the fingers. And so this was what was really great about this is that at this point, all I have to do is strip out the card. So if I move my right hand to the left so that my right second finger goes all the way across to the left side of the card and twirls it out around, you don't have to think about the card in your hand at all. It looks really quite natural.
Can you do that palm up, please?
Absolutely, yeah.
And one more thing, Aaron, I'm sorry. For those of you who have questions, the place for questions is in the little Q&A box in the middle, not on the chat, because if it goes on the chat, it's going to fly by. So if you have questions for you new folks, put it down in the Q&A box and we'll get to them.
Yeah. If you're going to heckle in the chat. Questions go in the Q&A. So I'll show it one more time. I'll demonstrate it so you can look for what you're looking at. Here we are. There's the red card. It changes to blue. And that's it. Okay, now I'm going to show you, again, I'll do it now totally reversed from this direction. And this is what it actually looks like all the way through.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
And that's the original color change that I like I say, first put in print around 1999, I think, 2000 tops. Okay, in more detail in the paper engine and the full routine in the paper engine. Okay, so now this is fun. You've got this out. If you want, you can show that card here. I've decided at this point there's not much reason to do it. Let me just see. Is there a good reason, Alex? Check those questions and see if they're useful to answer now because they're about the core change.
Now, one question says, looks like a modified or nice change. And what was it called again?
Yeah, what's it called?
What's it
Revolution
called?
change.
No, yeah, it's called the Revolution. So just to give you a little background on it, Jerry Andrews had a color change, which used to fascinate us when we were kids. Okay? Now, Jerry Andrews had giant hands this big, and he used bridge-sized cards. And he certainly never did this seated, and I don't even do this dang change anymore because that's why I invented mine. But he came off like this, and then he came back like that. And what he was doing was this. So you're thinking of the Erdenage change, right? The second transformation, which generally speaking, my issues with these is they tend to have sort of a wind up on them, right? The Andrews,
Very cozy.
yeah, the Andrews change has this great first moment, which is what you just saw. It's very similar. Except with the Andrews change, it's insane. You have to get it to slide back in the deck with no break, and you have to have it not look like you're up to anything. Now, I will admit, when I was a kid, I was pretty good at it, right? But it was never the kind of thing you want to rely on for all the marbles. So the idea here was really great. Sorry, if I do say so myself. The idea here was to do the great part, which was the change, and get rid entirely of the hard part. This part's actually really easy. I think you'll discover. It's pretty easy. But now, you get rid of the hard part entirely. You don't have to stick the card back in the deck. Okay? That's the core change. So, in this case, now we're ready to go into the routine. So if you think about it from the audience's perspective, we've had two cards selected in a really fair way. We've taken the Joker, which was cleanly displayed that Joker, right? And we've waved our hand over it and changed it into a blue back card. Looks like the same card. No reason to doubt it. Now, we touch a card, and it changes to blue. Now we touch another card, and it changes to blue. Technically, you could have had a few more cards selected and changed them all as well. It really just depends on what your preferred rhythm is, right?
And just so everyone knows, those were already blue to begin with.
Right. The entire deck was blue. Everything that was being selected was blue, right? Alex, if you remind me to discuss the panic thing with people, that's a good example of how you would maximize that. Okay. So now, and let me show you what I really like to do here, is this. So we watch this blue card because really you're ahead of everybody and it's a nice thing. So you want to stay ahead of everybody, right? Because you're using these duplicate cards, there's a really nice thing there where it doesn't really ever have to look like you're doing a double lift, like ever. So it's nice not to give that advantage away, okay? So look at what's happening. I leave this blue card, I leave it out jogged, and I pick this card up here and it changes. The back changes. I like to put it on the left. Here the back changes. Again, like so. I like to, as I'm doing that, I like to get that break. So the card's been out jogged, but then as I'm sort of making this change here, right, that's when I sort of bring the card back and get the break. Because I don't want anyone, there's no change now if I do that. Everything stays the same. It's like the card never feels like you came back, squared up, and did a double lift. Okay? So now I stick it back into the deck again, just to do the change one more time. And now this is what the core color changing deck routine looked like. The card changes to red. Then you do just a little block push off, and they all change. So it's a really important, lovely thing, right? Because you actually have 3 separate magic beats there. And it's really easy to think accidentally that there's 2. But it's really 3. The card changes, then they see that change, and then there's a 2, 3, 4. I wonder. And then they all change. So watch it one more time. And you get them all. Now, at this point, you can be done, okay? The entire deck is blue. There's a red card here, and you have here 1 joker here. You got a red-blue double backer here, and in our version, because we're going to change this joker, just like Vernon does in his routine, we've actually got a joker left to match it right here. I'll show you another way to do it in a second. All you do is this. You can, in fact, take that and say, you know what, we're not even going to, I don't even want to work with the deck with the joker. Just pick them up, stick them in your pocket, and you're done. You're totally clean, and you can move forward. And that's a pretty groovy thing, okay? Not bad. Or you can do what I did today, which was this. You take this card, you say, wow, this is all great. Everything's absolutely wonderful. The only problem we have in the entire world is I have a blue deck, and I have a red joker, and nobody in the world wants to be a red joker in a blue deck. And now that's blue too, and now you're clean, right? You're there and you're totally ready to go. That's like how one of the ways to do that. So all that's happening here, if you want to do that, and I'll share a couple alternate methods for you here after this, is all that's happening is that as you are getting this wonderful applause moment, you square up and you get a break under 2 cards while you're squaring. Now, all you have to do is snap your fingers and then do that triple lift, and that's what they're going to see. Now, depending on what you're going to do there, you can stop there, or what I'm doing is I'm relying on the response to that to square those up, immediately top palm them, and then you can just leave that there and have the people shuffle and then move on, which you'd want to do if you were going to continue to work anyway. Also, keep in mind, if you're closing with this, there's no need, you need to have those cards examined. Like, there's an awful lot of tricks where you can have the cards examined, but it doesn't actually punctuate your routine more effectively to say, but you can also check out the props. That's kind of like something we got from the magic store, which works well when you're trying to sell something to a person, right? But not, it can really put a damper on a great trick. If, you know, at the end of David Copperfield's wonderful trick, you went, you guys, if you want, you guys can examine everything. I don't feel guilty at all. Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that. In a moment, I'm going to show you just one more way that I like to get that last change. Yeah, Alex.
Maybe go into the idea of using panic in conjunction with this to get those extra changes.
Okay, let's see. Is this other question more related to? I will.
How would you ditch the joker that is palmed?
Yeah, I reach into my pocket, pull out the box. Actually, while they're shuffling, I just sort of relax and put my hands in my pockets like a normal person. There's no heat following me there. It's a fine question. Who asked that question?
Joshua. Joshua's a newer member, I believe.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, Joshua, I think you should experiment with using a wand in that routine, unless you're not doing that for aesthetic reasons. I think it would be a really interesting, valuable thing to experiment with. Okay, so that being said, okay, so Alex was just talking about, I have a trick called Panic, a vanishing deck routine, where you have the deck, you take the 4 kings, you place them in your pocket, you vanish the deck, and you've got nothing left but the 4 kings. Has anyone seen that trick? Okay. What I often will do, and this is what we did in Italy, Adam, is I will sometimes simply take the 4 kings in my hand and reach into that pocket with them to show the deck. And the deck is in my pocket. It's like you're gathering the rest of the deck is in your pocket. If you do that, it's a really simple matter to drop those kings and then just pick up this deck instead. Now, as they're applauding, you just take the 4 kings off the face and drop them on the table, face up. and go right into this trick. Now the Joker changes the first card, the Joker changes the second card, you snap your finger, wave the Joker over the 4 kings, now the 4 kings change to blue. Now you go into the big ending sequence and you just bam, 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 bam. You add another 4 effects and this sort of escalating ramp up of tempo and rhythm, and it's a really nice thing. And that's something I will often sort of do in formal environments, okay? So let me show you one more thing to think about that's also an interesting way that you could go with this. And then we'll seed the ground. So one of the things that you can do here is instead of taking that last Joker and placing it on top, right? You can take that Joker and you can place it face up a few cards down from there, like that. So here's how that would work. I'm going to just trying to get up to this point in the routine. You say, stop. Great. We'll take this card. Oh, look, Joker. Huh, happenstance. I'll just riffle down here. You say stop. And oh, look at that. Any card at all. Oh, good. The 6 of clubs. What a coinky-dink. Let's see how it works. I'll take that Joker. I'll stick it in the pack. I wave my hand over that Joker and it'll change to blue. Wowzers. Changes. Changes. Joker, king, 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 king. Look at this. They changed. Yay! How astonishing is that? This goes in the pack. Now we change that card to red. The entire deck changes to blue. Now, and this is now we have a problem because now I'm living my life with a red Joker and a blue deck, and I have to, oh, don't flash that. That's kind of a drag. You don't want to actually be running through your life as a red Joker and a blue deck. It's sad. It's a sad way to live. I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemies. It's a hard way to live, a worse way to die. Of course, if you have magic, you don't have to worry about that. You can go about and live your life normally, okay? So all you're doing there is when you get, don't flash that card like that. If you have that Joker, just a few cards face down from the top, the reason you want it just a few is because otherwise you have to really moderate your spread at the beginning. And you really just wanted that to be a little push and then a lot of cards, right? If it's too far down, you have to sort of do like a big block, and it's not bad. So what you do is, at this point, you simply take that Joker, you pick up all 3, and then you stick them in there and you diagonal palm shift. And really you're just making a joke. You're saying you don't want to actually live that way. It's a terrible way to live. Now all 3 cards are out of the deck in your hand, right? It looks to anyone watching, sometimes I cut the deck to center it, depending on how far up in the deck I put it. It looks to anyone watching like that's the exact same card. This is very much how it looks and feels in the Vernon routine, right? And now you can just leave it that way and let the people shuffle, take a break, and then move on. And that's it.
Guys, well, it's already coming in. Wonderful. All right. Awesome, dude. Let's give him some ones. Yeah. Nice. Nice, Teach.
It's a good trick. It was fun to learn it with you.
I remember the reactions at the Magic Castle from people who saw your close-up show. I believe were you closing your set with that trick, Aaron? That routine?
I think I was opening it.
Opening. I just remember people were talking about it. So, you know, I can attest to the power of that construction and those slides. It's very devious. Look what I have here in the background. This is like the mirror. You know how when you look in 2 mirrors, you look in the mirror in front of you and it shows the mirror of that tunnel effect? Well, this is us on YouTube, right? It's really weird, right?
It must be explaining, we're literally, like, the entire universe is home, and we're literally surging the capacity of the internet in every way. And I was wondering for a moment if you were slowing things down so people could really see the detail on the change. If that was just, you know, that, you know, these aren't office space pipes were running.
No, the smoke started coming out of my computer at one point. I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can do all this.
Overload.
Overload, yeah. So,
So I feel like did everyone go through with the cards in hand?
Yeah, I would love to see something. How if you ever have hang-ups when you're doing that color change, when that card glides over the left fingers,
Mm-hmm.
can you show me a close-up of that and show me if there's any way that it could bind? Because I've been lucky so far, but I'm just wondering if if there's any trickiness that I need to be aware of working with that change there.
In the core version of the color change, the original first version from the paper engine, right, is a reverse card routine, right? See if I can remember what ends up happening. This is the effect the audience sees. Can everyone see?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. So the card turns face up, and then the deck turns face down, right? And so the original color changing deck was a variation of that, which is why when we released it years ago on a DVD, it was called The Revolution and Helter Skelter, right? Had a nice little Beatles theme. So when you're first practicing the color change, it's a lot of fun. And so using that core color change as just one card changes and nothing else happens, this routine is the first occurrence of that actual color change within the structure of one of these routines ever, right? As soon as I developed this color change, I immediately put it into that face up, face down, and then the deck face up, face down. And so this was the first version of the routine, this recently, where there was a nice way to build that escalation into it, right? So when you're practicing it, that's a great way to practice it because you're just practicing the core color change. You have the double in the deck. I'm going to give everyone a few notes here. Make sure to keep your thumb there where the cards meet the double and your second finger where the cards meet the double. And you can hold things rather firmly together unless the cards are in, and even if the cards are in pretty terrible shape, if you press up there, you can normally have everything work in pretty good shape. Now let's take a look at this. That's the moment we're talking about. So the key to making sure, first of all, that you don't have any trouble is you come way forward and then tilt forward. But that's what it looks like to the audience. So it doesn't look like anything's happening. But you're way forward, right? And you can curl those fingers over the back of the deck a little bit, and the card slides over the fingernails.
Oh, it's on the fingernails, not the fingertips. Okay.
And this is something that Erdnase, well, like it can be on the fingertips, but if they're hanging up, go to the nails and you overcome the friction.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Great.
So as you can see, I can do this all night long, and there's nothing to see, and it's very, very smooth. Then when you come over, you're going to strike the card out. Now, I don't know if we got into this in the description, but that card can sometimes fall backwards a bit, or it can fall forwards a bit, right? There's definitely the possibility for the card to be unaligned. If that happens, as you're bring your hand over, you just wipe the rest of the deck forward with it, and the whole deck will be there.
Nice.
Right? And if the card's back a little, you can actually just push the card forward as you're moving forward. So it's self-correcting, right?
And I'm noticing that card is pretty far out jogged when you're actually doing the change. Do you ever have it just halfway, or do you try to keep it far out just for getting the leverage, right?
It's not even the leverage, it's the color. I mean, look, if I'm doing this, I'm getting less change. So the entire effect is based on having the whole card change as much as possible, which is why these grip points are so important, right? Because I got to hold it steady. And that's why holding that finger there is important, because you don't want those to split. So the only time I would push it a little further in is if the cards are in such terrible shape and warped, right? That no amount of help is going to keep them square, and then I'm going to have a little bit more of them in. so I can get right into it before there's being trouble. I'm trying to do it now that you asked. See what I did with my thumb there? As you can see, I use my thumb in those instances. So say I've got this. I can see right from where I am that I am not in the right position.
Right.
Okay, now I'll bring the camera back to me, and then all I do is this. And so it's totally self-correcting. And if it's the other way, you just move the rest of the deck forward to meet it. No one will ever see it.
So William is asking a couple questions here. First question is how sensitive are the angles on this when you're doing the actual change?
I myself have never found them to be sensitive. I don't do it if I'm gonna do it like close up. Like first of all, if it's any kind of formal situation, it's a go-to, right? But if not, I'll just literally say, stand where you are. I want everyone to see this. And we'll take one step back and it's totally covered. The only bad angle is really where you are, right? One of the things about doing this trick is that if you see it, it's right? You'll think, oh, I can see that. So you'll move it so you can't see the card and then the audience can.
That's when it comes through the windows.
So
right.
you want to make sure that the people can't actually see it. But from here, unless you're, back by my elbow, right? See, there you are. You can see it if you're literally here where I'm looking. But from there, I can cover it. And I got it over there too. So you really just take one step back. So stand there. I just want you to be able to see. Take one step back and do it, and you'll be totally fine. Right?
Okay. And then William has another question here, and I just wanted, I think there just might have been a couple little things here. See if we can decode this. On the clearance, if the angled card is more on the finger, is it more on the finger or when you tilt it forward or on the card underneath? I'm not sure. Maybe rephrase that question again, William. There's a couple of just rephrase that question, throw it in there again. But here was another question that came in the chat was, do you have any tips on minimizing the click when that card comes out, when that double?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. For starters, so funny. You want to hear the click when you're first learning the change, because that's how you'll know that you've got clearance.
Okay.
As you practice, you're only pressing down enough to be feeling the finger up from underneath. And so you're pressing down at first and you're going to hear that click. Right? But after you sort of get the hang of it, you don't need to hear it. You minimize the downward pressure so it's just pressing forward. And then there's nothing to hear. And it's silent. Eventually, you'll simply hear it. You'll feel it, but not hear it. It sounds like you can feel it go pop, but you won't actually hear anything. Now, in terms of this question here, I'm definitely going to tilt forward and then back so that I clear those fingers. Once I go over that first finger.
Got it. And that first finger is almost helping to keep that card in place underneath.
It's definitely pressing against the first card, and that's going up. And then you'll notice that you're much closer than you guess. I mean, I'm there already.
Yeah.
Right? Let me just, yeah. So when I'm here, it may look precarious, but it's not really, because I'm out, I'm up and back. Like, of all the things in difficult magic and stupid magic I've tried, this is actually one of the easier color changes there are. Because unlike the Andrews change, it's not hard to figure out where the card's going to go at the end. And unlike all of the other sort of two-action color changes, it doesn't have that. You just do it, the effect is over, and it's clean. So it's actually got the easiest parts of a color change without the hardest parts. Am I using the finger to clear or the card itself? I think the card itself, right?
Yes.
It's the card that comes up. The finger's holding that other card, and this is balanced against it, right? And then you just try and strive to have that be even when you go.
And it's amazing how much that first finger, the friction of it pushing up a little bit, really just makes that card just sort of freeze in space there. It doesn't move.
Yeah, and it's actually really secure. Now, let me show you cats who are watching today another version of this that I didn't work out for years later, okay? Then I don't know which, I should probably do it in 2 different stages. Okay. Yes, William. Okay, so let's say that I have Alex take out a card. Alex, look at that card, show it to everyone, make sure they all know what it is. That's important. Alex, would you be impressed if I could tell you the name of your card?
No.
Maybe not so much. Okay. Watch carefully. The card's going to turn face up. And the deck turns face down. So that's the original handling as it appears in the paper engine of the Revolution. So, and not surprisingly, the original trick was a trick that was designed to be done with the half pass, right? So I'm going to take you through structure really quick. Members will find a longer discussion of the half pass in the paper engine and in the club training all over the place, pathways to mastery, stuff like that. We'll put links, I'm sure, at the bottom of the video somewhere. But we do have time for me to run you through the structure and then show you a way to do it without a half pass. So I spread the cards are face up. Alex, you take that card, you look at it, you show it to everybody. Now, while you're showing it to everybody, that's when I'm doing my half pass under those 2 cards, right? Which, of course, no one sees.
And those 2 cards are mates. You have 2 black queens there.
Yes, and over time I learned that they don't have to be, but when you're learning, it's going to make you feel better. Because you're going to take this card back, face up from you, and you're going to say, hey, and you're looking at it. They're looking at you. You're looking at it, looking at them, going, hey, would you be impressed if I could tell you the name of your card? And they're going, you idiot, but they're not going to notice that that card changed.
Right.
Right? So, hey, would you be impressed if I could tell you the name of your card? And I add that card on, right? I grab at the corners, at the upper left corner and the lower right corner with my thumb and second finger, and I lift. Would you be impressed if I could tell you the name of the card? They say no. As we exhale, I tilt my finger around. And I revolve those over. No. And I've just reversed that card. So now the selections face up. Now from there, I stick the card in the pack and I just go to do the change. The selection turns face up. They see that card turns face down, and then all the cards turn face down.
It's so good. Such an awesome sequence, man. I love it.
Quite heavenly. And now I'm going to share with you all the way to do that. Look, obviously, I love using passes. Obviously, I've spent a lot of my life using half passes, and one of the most valuable things I've learned from them is how much less we need them than we think we do for a lot of things. So probably 5-6 years after the paper engine came out, I developed another approach to this trick, which I'll share with you, that you can start using right away. And that's pretty simple. I'd have Alex take that card, look at it, show it to everybody. Did you show it to him?
I did.
All right. Now watch carefully. Are we okay, by the way?
Good.
Okay. So would you be impressed if I could tell you the name of your card?
No.
No, of course not.
Wait, you didn't do the half pass.
That's right. Now, I don't know if it looked right because I didn't have my blocking thought about it all. I just decided to do it on the spur of the moment. Did everything look fine?
It's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
So here's what you do, friends. This is really nice and easy, and this is what I recommend that you do. Okay? Take your 2 mates and place them second from the top and third. Push off 1 card. Push off 2 more cards and hold them separated. Now continue to spread the cards so that a card can be selected. This is one of those things that you don't think about. You have to manage carefully when you're doing it home on the computer, because in real life you have people doing the action that creates the cover. So in real life, you would take that card out. I would say, look at it, show it to everybody. I won't look, and I turn to the side just for a moment because I'm not going to look. And I turn those face up and I stick them in between. I'm not even out of view for a moment. right? It's so deceptive because remember, you're showing the card around. So I turn my back and I'm trying to sort of expose it. I'll say the audience is there. I say, look at it, show it to everybody. I won't look.
Great.
Got it? I turn back around and I'm here. This is the difference between, in the original trick, it starts with the deck face up and the deck stays face up. Here, all I do is this. I say, you've got a card, great. Now watch carefully. Turn the cards over. Everything seems perfectly fair. I take the card. I look at it. I say, would you be impressed if I could tell you the name of your card? No. And there you go. You take that card, you stick it in the middle. You wave your hand over the card. It turns face up. That card turns face down. The entire deck turns face down, and you just have one reversed card at the bottom of the deck. So when I'm spreading through the entire deck, I just literally put my first finger on the edge of the bottom card and hold it together so I can get this giant spread where you would never see anything.
Boy, that is a great alternative, especially if you're learning the half pass until you get it up to speed. That is a wonderful way to do that. That is so good.
Or if you never even want to do the half pass.
If
right?
you never even want to do the half pass, right?
And I'll just tell everybody, you know, obviously you can do a reverse at the end. You can do anything you want to deal with these cards. But as I've said in lectures for years, because remember, you have a face-up card at the bottom, or at the top, and another face-down card at the very bottom, or another face-up card at the very bottom. Trick is over. Everyone applauds, right? All you do is you have someone shuffle the cards. They shuffle the cards, right? You take back the cards. You say, I'll have someone pick a card. Good work there. You know, sorry. It's very easy to imagine in the fog of war and shuffling that the cards were flipped around by Perch. Just give them a look like, oh, nice work. And it's very easy. So don't even worry about, you know, I guess the method I used to use was something like this, right? I would be here. I would get a break there. I would cut those into the break and then do a reverse.
Whoa.
But skip it. Not necessary, right? Just shuffle the cards, go, ooh, I think I got a few face up, you know?
Great solution.
Notice how the whole thing is structural. Notice how those half pass is fun. I would use it because I had to learn it first. It's very direct, but I would not let that be any kind of a stopping point for this trick at all. That other method is every bit as effective and easy to learn.
Great. Great. That's awesome, man. We got way more than we bargained for there. We thought we were just getting a color changing deck, and all of a sudden we have this inversion routine that we can do. Wonderful. Which
is really quite effective. You know, it's really quite efficient little thing, you know? It's a wonderful thing. I hope everyone enjoys it. I hope we get to see you do it soon. And again, you know, if you're watching us on YouTube, this is what we do at Conjurer Community. We jam. And this month we're doing a lot of afternoon meetings for our members, a lot of sessions, Wednesday night meetings all the time. There's going to be a meeting starting right now. In fact, Adam, would you go ahead and place the link in chat for the meeting that Michael Sproul is going to be hosting for members, a jam session to be starting right now.
Sproul, would you pop that in there? I didn't grab it.
And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We appreciate all the things that you're doing to come together with your fellow magicians this month and every month.
Yeah, and we'll see you tomorrow again on Conjurer Community. If you'd like to join us here at our Magic Club, see the link down in the description. Thanks, everybody.